Yeah, it seems like a lot of their preparations that were made from last time to this time should be robust enough to prevent a cratering underneath the orbital launch mount. We'll keep our eyes open for that, and hopefully we don't see a repeat of last time where that's concerned. Now T-minus 46 minutes, 56 seconds and counting. Want to pop back into the live stream. Thank a few more folks for super chat donations. As a reminder, it's a great way to join in the conversation. If you have any questions for any of the folks that are joining in the commentary, we'd love to answer your topics or questions. So please be sure to put those in the YouTube super chat feature, either on the Spaceflight Now or the Lab Padres side. Love to bring you to the conversation. Superman P. Witherspoon with a $10 New Zealand donation. Thank you so much, Superman. Says, love the ad-free streams, and we're more than happy to bring those to you. Appreciate you helping to make that happen. Kidder's Refuge with a 70 ZAR donation. No comment, just support. Really appreciate that, Kidder's Refuge. Thank you so much. Tector in Space. Apologies if I'm mispronouncing that first word there, Tector, with a 10-pound super chat, the pound sterling comment. Thank you so much. Really appreciate the support. Nelson Reyes, one of our regulars on the Spaceflight Now streams, the $10 super chat. Thank you so much, Nelson. Says, once again, thanks for the great coverage, and want to take a quick beat to thank all of the folks that are helping to make this happen, both on the Lab Padre as well as the Spaceflight Now side. There's a great team working very hard behind the scenes to make this all come to fruition. So really appreciate the work of all the great folks that are working to make this happen. So thanks for the recognition on that, Nelson. Erna with a 20,000 IDR super chat donation. Thank you so much, Erdna. My conversion off the top of my head is not quite fast enough to make that switch over to US dollars, but really appreciate the generous support. Thank you so much. Alan McKeithen with a $5 super chat says, thanks for the commentary to you all. Let's go. And yes, it is quite the treat to be joined by Marcus, Zach, and Steven this morning, as well as Lab from time to time. So really appreciate these guys taking the time to be a part of the coverage this morning. Always great to have their friendship and insight, especially on launch as dynamic as this one.
Pleasure.
We'll go ahead and come back to the conversation as we are still getting some great views of the Starship rocket as fueling continues underway. Now T-minus 44 minutes and counting. Before we jump back into the conversation in full, and I do want to talk more about this element on the other side, want to talk about sort of the flight path and the trajectory of this particular mission, because we are certainly hoping to see it go beyond stage separation, the point at which we didn't see for the first integrated flight test. So the folks over on the Lab Padre side helped create this great launch profile animation. As you see the Starship liftoff, or this is from SpaceX. As you see the booster that will separate, it will do a boost back maneuver. Of course, we're all watching for that all-important hot staging operation. It'll be a first for Starship. For those watching from down in the Miami area, you might be able to see Starship thread the needle as it coasts between the southern tip of Florida and Cuba, flying overhead. If all goes well, for a nominal flight, it will splash down off the coast of Hawaii in the Pacific Ocean, a little bit north of there. So bringing the conversation back out to the three of you, we'll go back in sort of opposite direction. Marcus, we'll start with you. We all have hopes and expectations for, getting through a fully nominal mission and seeing ships splash down in the Pacific off the coast of Hawaii. What do you feel like will be the most challenging portion of this flight profile? Is it sort of what we're thinking that it is getting through hot staging, or is there another element that you're also watching for?
Hot staging for me is certainly a critical part, and that there's apprehension about that by many people because it is so new. But the one thing I think, if they can get past that, I think that there's a very good chance that they'll get all the way to orbit, because once you've got the engines fired up, as long as they're burning normally and happily away, usually there's not too much else that's going to interrupt things until you get to orbit. The one thing I'm really interested to see is the acceleration, and we'll be able to analyze that based on the readouts from the the speed that SpaceX will show. So we'll be able to sort of figure out a rough thrust to weight ratio and all that sort of thing. I'm not sure whether they're going to really punch this thing. They're going to fire it up to 90% engines on all those 33, assuming that they can fire all 33. We haven't seen them actually have all 33 really go collectively successfully at this stage. I'm pretty sure we haven't. So there's a big question there. Are we just going to see 31 engines, 32 engines? Will we see all 33 going? Because it could also be, remember, that in a static fire, they've probably got much stricter conditions as to when an engine will simply stop firing. There can be 1,000 things wrong with engine pressure systems and flow and all this kind of stuff. And maybe in a static fire, they make those cutoffs very, very strict and particular. Whereas in flight, when they're more critical, maybe a lot of those checks and balances that will auto shut down engines is largely negated by the criticality of the thing. So that's going to be a big thing for me. How many engines we see actually leaving the pad? Hopefully all of them, and then the acceleration that we see, because it as Zach said before, it's a pretty scary sight seeing a rocket of that size just kind of crawling off the pad ever so slow.
The sun rising. This is going to be such an... And look at there's no clouds. I don't see... There's maybe a few there in the horizon, but that's nothing.
Don't say that. They hear you. They don't say that they hear you. They smell fear.
Yeah, maybe I could jinx it. But definitely, it's looking like a great day today to launch the world's most powerful rocket in history. It's not just right now or no, in history, no rocket has been as powerful as the Starship.
And the only clouds that we see are the ones created by the space fuel, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, and we're just counting down here to the opening of the window. Now, Alex here wrote kind of our book on all of the milestones that are happening here, and it's amazing how much work he put in. And I have to say, everyone who's been working on covering this particular moment in time, they have been spending years really getting ready for what you're about to watch here, and it's amazing how much effort everyone here on the NSF team has put in, and we greatly appreciate your support, and we'll get to more supporters in a minute. But Alex, on your timeline here, we just passed a milestone that people may not be familiar with, which is the OLM hold-down clamps, because this Starship launches a lot differently than other rockets may have in the past. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, and so you referred to this very, very appropriately, that it is sort of like SLS, where you have the own weight of the vehicle. It holds it down. And so when those engines ignite, they don't fire at full thrust. And so because they don't fire at full thrust, they basically still do not rise. They don't push the rocket up into the air. They need to ramp up the engines to full power. So they can unclap the booster way ahead of time, and precisely because those clamps will not be able to hold on the, it's 75 meganewtons. That will be 7,500 tons of thrust. There's no way you can really hold down that. It's not really like you could maybe, but you will probably have to beef up the whole base of the rocket, right? Not just the OLM, but also the base of the rocket. So definitely it is quite a little known thing, but SpaceX has talked about that in the past, and definitely very, very interesting. And that also is the reason why the first second or so of that ascent portion will be very, very slow, because as they ramp up to full power, there's a little bit in there where it's still moving, but the engines are still ramping up. So it's gonna be first slow, and once they go up to full power, then we're gonna see the rocket speed up. That's gonna be awesome.
So from an expectation standpoint, Adrian, here we're not looking at this rocket leaping off the pad like we see with Falcon 9. We're looking at probably, if I looked at our time frame here, 3 seconds ahead of T0 of just getting all these engines lit up. There are 33 that they have to light up in a sequence. And then we're pretty much going to be on the ground for 2 seconds afterward until we see any kind of movement.
Yeah, during the first launch, this segment was even longer, so it almost felt painfully long, and you almost get into this situation where you're like, oh no, it didn't abort. What's happening, right? You get in this situation, but don't worry about this. It's normal. You will have the second of doubt while they throttle up if it happens, and you'll be like, oh no, it's moving. The thing you will probably see moving first is the very tip of the rocket, because there will be a lot of gas going up from the deluge system, because in the moment of the Raptor ignition, we expect quite a cloud. But you will see the tip moving, and once that moves, again, they don't have, like, as soon as that moves, that it's all going. They don't have a stop anymore. They can't land that anymore. From there on out, right. It's either going up or going home.
Well, we hope it goes up, and we are right now just under 36 minutes until the opening of the launch window. I know I've been seeing a lot of questions coming through on chat. What time is it going to launch? Well, it'll launch anywhere between 7 a.m. Central Time and 7:20 a.m. Central Time, because that is the window. So it's a much smaller window than we've seen with some of these prior launch attempts where you had an hour or two. So we expect something one way or the other within that span of time, and they could very well get it off right at the opening of the window. So we will see what happens. I'm guessing, Alex, that they probably want to be totally ready, or at least as ready as they can be, for the opening of the window, so they have some time to make some adjustments.
Yeah, precisely. That is pretty much what we're expecting to happen here.
All right. Well, we're going to keep an eye on all the doings over at Starbase here. And Adrian, right now we're just trying to get this rocket fueled, because, you know, I think about the adventure of Artemis, which was a year ago yesterday, I believe, where fueling took forever because these rockets are so large. So fueling is a very long process with this particular spacecraft versus what we saw with Falcon and other smaller rockets before.
Yeah, I mean, well, the easiest answer why this also takes so long is because it's a big rocket, right?
Right.
It just comes down to the fact that you need to move a lot of propellant, and that at some point is just not easy to do. There's a lot of things that go into this. Basically, one misbehaving valve can ruin your launch day. One yes. single thing that just doesn't work, that just doesn't open, that maybe has a bit of a leak, that can ruin your launch day. So making sure that you go through this process in an organized way, step by step, and well, that takes some time. And we now see the countdown of this, including tank farm, is about 5 hours. So it's a complicated rocket, but again, it's the biggest rocket of all time. So there comes some implications with that.
And you can only pump explosive fluid in so quickly and safely. So the laws of physics still apply in some areas, including making the rocket go up. So hopefully we will see all of that happening in about 33 minutes or so when we get to the opening of the window. We have a minute or two. Why don't we say thank you to some folks who are supporting the effort today. This is a huge turnout this morning. I think, by the way, I think our chat is pretty excited. You know, I've seen some excitement in the chat, but maybe we can see a little bit more. Let me get that chat rolling here. Let's go. All right. But Joe Keane is having a birthday today, 70th birthday. So happy birthday to you. God bless all who are responsible for making this happen, and God bless the USA. Yeah, this is a very important milestone, not only for SpaceX, but it's also just as important for NASA, because Artemis 3 depends on Starship being operational, and operational frequently. So the hope is that we'll have a successful launch today and much more rapid testing to get Starship up to speed. We have a nice, generous super chat here from W4WWW, and $100 for 100,000 concurrent viewers. Congrats to NSF. Yeah, huge turnout this morning, and 100,000 folks tuning in, all fellow space enthusiasts, to watch this awesome launch this morning. Matthew's predicting a perfect morning, and I would agree with him on that for sure. So Here we are. We're looking at the Starship stack here on the pad. All that venting is normal. And Alex, I guess you could kind of determine how full the fuel tanks are based on how high the frost level is.
Yeah, so the great advantage of a Starship is that since it doesn't have any insulation outside, like SLS or anything like it, we can kind of see the progress of the propellant load on the vehicle, because that frost is a great indicator of how fully loaded it is.
And Adrian, we have some updates.
Yes, apparently, according to SpaceX, they are targeting indeed the start of the window. So that will be right now, if no hold happens, that would be top of the hour right now, where Starship would try its second launch. So there you go. That's right now the target.
And we shouldn't be concerned if there is a hold, because they do have some hold time that they can build in for double checking things, right?
No, that's I would actually expect a hold at T-minus 40. I would more set myself up for a situation where I would like them to check out things. They're also nervous, right? They're also, this is a big deal for this company as well. So I would imagine that maybe if they can, they might use this 15-minute window a bit to check a few more things, working through a few more things, and making sure they're really ready before they send it.
Yes, so I think we want to see it go a little bit further than last time for sure. And I want to thank Anthony Richards here with a super chat. It's like surfing on the rings of Saturn, go SpaceX. And you know what? This thing works. That might be a possibility at some point in the very near future. Hey, while we're watching the fueling process here and just seeing the massive amount of venting and big rocket, bigger fuel, what is success here? One could argue that the prior launch, which to many in the general public saw as not successful, actually delivered a lot of lessons that went into this particular launch. And maybe, Alex, start with you. What do you think would be success here, even if the mission objective isn't totally achieved?
Well, I'll be happy if we get a full first stage flight with these vehicles. So we'll see.
So for you, it's stage separation.
Oh yeah, totally.
And Adrian, what about the engines? Because even during the static fire, we saw that there were a few engines that didn't quite stay ignited when they did that last test.
Yes.
And of course, on the prior launch, one of the reasons why it didn't get to the height that it was supposed to get to was that it did not have all of the engines firing fully at launch. What do you think they're going to have here? What's your prediction as to how many engines we can expect to be firing when the Starship lifts off the pad?
Well, I hope it's 33. That's my initial hope here, that we see all the engines going and performing normally, because they did a lot of work on this. They did a lot of work with the CO2 system to really make sure that stuff like fire in the engine section no longer should happen. So I think a great success here would also be including, maybe if they lose one or two engine, that's probably still a great thing to achieve. But I would not like to see another situation where we see one engine after another going out. I think that would also be a thing I would really like to see in progress. And I also agree with Alex. Stage separation, a nominal booster flight, and maybe then seeing the hot staging. I think that's my after that everything is bonus.
Right, because now they're learning something new when they get beyond that point, and that's what it is. It's all about learning and iterative development here, which is very different than I think what the public has been accustomed to, which are rockets that are built and fly the first time. This is all bleeding edge development here, and it's fun to be able to watch this as it unfolds. This has definitely been happening very visibly to the public, given how Starbase is just on the side of a road and you can pull up and follow everything. Hey, I want to thank Beth Sanders for a very generous super chat. Go Starship, up, up, and away. Also want to thank Mike and Marilyn Warren for their contribution here. Also very generous. Thank you very much. And yeah, we'll be putting in more of these super chats as we go. And B here says they are go for lunch. So wherever you are, the beauty of this thing is I often start these streams out saying good morning, like I'm doing right now. But my morning could be someone else's afternoon. I think, Adrian, you're getting close to the afternoon out in your neck of the woods. So we are an international audience here, and we will see what develops here. So So where we are right now is we are 27 minutes and 20 seconds outside the opening of the launch window for the second orbital test of the Starship. And what it appears to be, from what we're hearing, is that Starship will attempt to launch right at the opening of the window. Although, as Alex mentioned to us, we'll probably see potentially a hold just to make sure everything is where it needs to be prior to liftoff here. So we will be keeping an eye on everything as the developments here continue. And what we're in the middle of right now is the fueling of this massive rocket, and it takes quite a while to do that. Our next milestone, Alex, is coming up at T-minus 19 minutes and 40 seconds.
I can take that one.
Yeah, go ahead, Alex.
Yes, the engine chill will start. Yes, at T-minus 90 minutes and 40 seconds, we will see the chill down of both stages, where the Raptor engines are being prepared for methane and oxygen flowing through them. So basically, you opening the valves a little and make sure that you're kind of preparing all of these engines, all of the 39 Raptor engines that are on this whole stack, 33 on the first stage, 6 on the second stage. So that's the main thing right now. That would start.
And there you can see again some of the venting going on here. It's just remarkable. I've been doing a bunch of these Falcon 9 streams, and it's just remarkable just how much more venting there is on this system, and the volume of those vents are just remarkably large here. So, but we're keeping an eye on things. We're about 25 minutes now until the opening of the window, and this is kind of the quiet period, Adrian, isn't it? Because they're pretty much just trying to get this thing fueled up.
Yeah, this is mostly their goal right now. There's a lot of action at the beginning of the fueling, and then it's kind of starting again with the engine chill, and then a lot of things in rapid succession. But as of right now, they're just fueling ship and booster, and the ship appears to be kind of almost fully loaded at this point, which you can see there. Like there, of course, at the top there is this payload section, future payload section, no payload on this flight, but that will not be frosty. So you can see the ship is kind of full already. The booster is about 2/3 there, I would say.
Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah, it's almost fully fueled and ready to go, which is a good sign that the fuel continues to go in. And when we were I was thinking about the Falcon Heavy test launch, where Elon launched his Tesla Roadster up on there. A lot of times when you do a test launch like this, you have some weight that you can use to simulate a payload. Are they simulating a payload here, or is the action here just to get this rocket flying and controlled?
From what we know, there's no payload simulator in any way here on this flight. The payload door, in theory, the ship would have an opening for a Starlink dispenser, but this is welded shut, and it doesn't seem to be that there's any way, in any way, a payload simulator. And look at this cloud ocean. Yeah. That is not fantastic. That is all. It's amazing, and those clouds are created by the rocket fuel. That is not an environmental fog, if you will. Well, I guess you could say the condensation was, or the moisture was in the air that condensed, but still, that's a rocket cloud right there. Hey, I want to thank Russell Snodgrass. Go ahead. Before you thank Russell, just a quick update. Right now, they're only working one issue, which is clearing the boats from the range, and that's it. So only that one issue as of now. Go ahead.
That is very good. Yeah, first of all, that's great that that's the only issue they have, especially given how complex these spacecraft can be. But that is good news. So the only issue they're working right now is just getting the boats out of the area, and hopefully they can do that before it's too late. And I'm sure there's a lot of interest in watching this today. We also have some crew out in the field that we hope to hear from soon. But I want to thank Russell for gifting 50 Red Team memberships. One of the beauties of this community is that if you hang around long enough, someone's going to gift you a membership. So thank you very much for your generous support of the channel. S.E. Friedman, thank you very much for your super chat, along with Doug here as well. TYJ Logistics wants to tip for a successful launch, as do we. Awesome. Hey, we have Gamer Tom here from Ireland. Thank you very much for your support. And also another good good wishes to SpaceX from Shadow Gunner 66. We are stoked for this. I'm watching the chat fly by here. I know a lot of people are stoked for this as well. JC Davis got to see IFT-1 in person. Those who went today are in for a treat. It'll definitely be more visually stunning once it goes up. Absolutely. You know, the first rocket launch that I saw in person was the Space Shuttle. It was STS-133. And again, the scale of these rockets, you really can't appreciate until you see one in person. And this one in particular, Adrian, 394 feet tall, if I use my American measurements here. That's pretty big.
Yeah, it's giant, and it got even bigger because the hot staging ring made it 1.8 meters taller. So
that's right.
It's kind of beating its own record here, and which is kind of funny. It's the tallest rocket that will ever have launched. It will be the most powerful rocket that ever have launched, tying, depending how many Raptors it will have
That's
working.
Right.
And so there's quite some records here that will be attacked and broken.
And Donald Morrison with a super chat wants to light this candle. I agree. Let's get this thing lit up. We're only about 21 minutes away. Our next milestone, Adrian, I believe, is the engine chill down, which is probably minutes away here. Or I guess we'll have to wait for someone to confirm that. It's not something we can visually see, I think, because the engines are kind of obscured from view at the moment. But that's a big milestone.
There are some pipes that indicate the chill down. We'll talk about that later if we can spot them, because it always depends a bit on situation, on how the visibility is, and especially how good you can see them with certain cameras. But there are some pipes that you can see that are used to transport some of the gas related to the engine chill. So, yeah.
Awesome. And by the way, these views that you're seeing are coming from the NSF cameras, and those cameras are funded by your support. So thank you all for your support of the efforts here that this team, which is unbelievably dedicated to bringing this coverage to you, are out there doing right now. We've got a whole team in the field. They haven't slept in probably a week, making sure that everything was in place and ready to go here. We've got an awesome new mobile production trailer that is like completely self-sufficient with solar power, Starlink, you name it. And all of these assets are being brought to bear today for you to be following this along with us. And yeah, so we're just waiting on the countdown here. So we got word that if you're just joining us, the launch window opens at 7 a.m. Central Time, which is about 20 minutes from now. I am in Eastern Time, so that's 8 a.m. for me. And what is going to happen here is that they plan to launch at the beginning of the window, although they do have a 40-second hold time built in. So
yes, they can use, yes.
Which they may or may not use, depending on how things are going. And go ahead, Adrian, you got some updates?
Yeah, the contrail you just saw there, that's probably because technically this airspace right now is closed. This is probably the WB-57 tracking plane from NASA that is right outside the exclusion zone and getting ready to track this. At least that lines up with the flight tracker. So the contrail you just saw passing by, that's probably this WB-57 tracking plane that will be used to deliver some nice aerial views for today's launch for NASA and SpaceX analysis.
And NASA's very interested in this mission, Adrian, aren't they?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it's one of the two cornerstone rockets enabling the Artemis program and enabling humans going back to the moon and beyond to Mars. Of course, SLS and Starship will work together for the Artemis 3 mission to bring humans back to the moon, where Starship will be the lander, the human landing system lander. And so this rocket is very crucial to bring humans back to the moon, and with that, very crucial to NASA, because NASA is the ones that are conducting these Artemis missions. So, of course, they want Starship as a partner rocket to succeed.
So they've literally hitched their ride to this ride here. So and you know, as we've been talking over the last couple of weeks, you know, there was a lot of regulatory hurdles that SpaceX had to go through to get to this point where they could get the launch license, get this thing stacked and ready to go. If we're successful today, do you anticipate that SpaceX will be able to launch more frequently if the design of the ground system and rocket are not changing all that much from one mission to the next?
I think you're absolutely nailing the most important point here, the ground system, because if the ground system holds, it it really doesn't influence that much if the rocket at some point in flight will have a failure. Because if your ground system holds, they have the next prototype. They have B10 ready. They have B11, Booster 11 ready. They have several ships at this point being ready for static fire testing. So if this ground system is able to work, they might be able to turn around this very, very quickly. If it holds, we don't expect another gap of 7 months. We are probably talking more like in the ballpark of 2-3-ish months.
Right, and last time it was not only the regulatory issues, but also the fact that the launch area was pretty much destroyed and had to be reconstructed. And it's funny, if you just tune in every once in a while to these test flights, everything looks the same as it did before, but they really reconstructed everything. Some of the only lasting examples of what happened there were some of the dents on those tanks that you see in the foreground there. So we're seeing more venting here, Adrian. What's going on here?
That's probably... So as these tanks are topping up, they need to at some point open top valves to let some of the hotter parts of the filling out, because there's a constant boil-off. This is so cold, alone the contact with the tank wall, where the atmosphere is touching also the tank wall, that will make it boil. So you have to constantly kind of refresh and top off your tanks. So that's what we are seeing here. They're opening basically top valves and are filling colder liquids from the bottom to get this to goal temperature.
And the reason why this looks so much more significant than a Falcon rocket is because it's so much bigger. So you have more fuel, bigger rocket, bigger venting. So that's what we're seeing here. Hey, I wanted to put up this this chat from James Guilford because I think it's important for people to understand what happens after it launches. We become so accustomed, Adrian, to SpaceX rockets launching and landing. Even some of the early Starship tests had some landing going on. But this one is going to not land, right? This is the last we'll see of this rocket after it takes off, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's basically the booster will perform a soft water splashdown in the Gulf of Mexico, using a boost back burn, but not an entry burn, and then a landing burn to kind of soft splashdown. That's probably to gather data for possible reusability using the chopsticks down the line for the later booster. The ship, however, will go all the way around the globe and try to attempt a re-entry and hard splashdown close to Hawaii, because there is no burn planned after the re-entry. The ship will basically still have a high velocity and without any Raptor engines igniting, which SpaceX has confirmed will not do based on that. Because it will be high velocity splashdown.
I like the sound of that. Hopefully we'll have some imagery of that high velocity splashdown. Hey, speaking of Hawaii, X808 Drifter with a super chat is logging in from Hawaii at 3 a.m. Hawaiian time. So again, we've got people all over the world keeping an eye on this. Probably one of our biggest viewership numbers ever here at NSF, and we greatly appreciate everybody stopping in to follow along with us here. And we are just as excited behind the scenes as you are watching. I know I'm excited about this. I woke up super early this morning, even though I was not coming on until around now. So I've been following the chat and the stream as we go here. So we are just under now 14 minutes until the current T0 time, which is the opening of the window at 7 a.m. Central Time in Texas. And we are watching the Starship here, basically topping off its fuel. What you see on screen right here is the hot staging ring, which is a new addition, Adrian, to this system since last time. Do you think this is part of what they were hoping would work the first time? I guess hot staging is a little more reliable, and maybe you could tell us a little bit about hot staging.
Yeah, of course. Hot staging is the newest addition to this stack compared to the last one. The difference is the last launch of this, or for example, a normal Falcon 9 launch, would see a shutdown of the first stage, then a short few second coasting phase, and then ignition of the second stage after it has been separated. Hot staging, as the name implies, means that the second stage will ignite while the third stage is still attached. This will happen here as well, hopefully, and this will not only reduce gravity losses, because you basically don't lose time, which you could use fighting gravity right now, but you also optimize things such the settling of the propellants in the tanks. Because imagine kind of like, well, pushing the gas in your car. You're getting pushed back into the vehicle, right? And that's kind of what would happen here with the propellants as well, because you accelerate and they get pushed all the way back. So that way you have them in the right position to bring them to the Raptor engines.
Right. So you don't have this skip, if you will, in the in the launch process. And Alex, this is a big change in design of this system. Would this require beyond the hot staging ring any kind of massive redesign of the system before this launch, or was it something they could just kind of roll in as a update?
Well, I'm not fully sure though. It's definitely quite a change, but in the long run, it might actually be beneficial, because I think it's much simpler than the previous one, where they wanted to kick sort of the whole rocket around, and that seemed to me always quite complicated.
Yes, it all is extremely complicated, and I think we will see how well it works in about 11 minutes. And wow, what a very generous super chat here from our friend Russell Snodgrass, $300 super chat. Thank you very much for your contribution, Russell. It means a lot to our team here. As you can see, we're all losing our voice. Everyone's exhausted, but we are basically fueled by caffeine and adrenaline right now, as I'm sure everyone in the chat is as well, because we are now just under 11, or just about 11 minutes away from the opening of the launch window and T0 here. And by the way, all these amazing views that you see are coming from NASA Spaceflight NSF cameras that are located all over Boca Chica, Texas, where we are anxiously awaiting the launch here. There you can see one of our camera rigs there. We got the logo on there and everything. It's official. And I know Das has been out there working his tail off, getting all the equipment going along with the rest of the team down there at Boca Chica. And it's paying off today because we have some amazing views here as sunrise is occurring right now. And you might say that this is the rise of a new era of human exploration and discovery, because if things are successful today, and I think there's a lot of optimism today that we will have a successful test flight, that this could be the start of a lot of activity and hopefully a moon landing in the very near future. So that would be exciting. There's never been a moon landing in my lifetime, even though my parents witnessed one. So I'm looking forward to that continuing there. So let me just talk about how you guys are feeling at this point. Because I know Adrian and Alex, you two are, this is something you dedicate yourself to. How do you feel right now, Alex, watching this? I know you put a lot of time into just the research here. How do you feel right now?
I'm completely nervous right now. We're under 10 minutes to go, and seeing that rocket, the ship is fully loaded, almost fully loaded. The booster is again almost fully loaded as well. We're approaching the second flight of this vehicle, and I still cannot believe that. It's yeah.
Yes.
And Adrian, this one feels different, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely, it feels a bit more mature. It feels a bit more like you expect you have some expectation, right? Because with the first one, it was more like, we are in for the ride, and what happens. And of course, with this one, you expect at least more progress. But of course, there's also this NSF perspective about this. Like this whole team worked the last few weeks, months even, on all of this coverage, and got the trailer ready with all the people in the field. And I don't want to starting to name names here, because I will forget somebody. But there's so many people that make this all happen, and there's so many people that allow for such a coverage. And thank you all that allow us to do this coverage. It's quite amazing, and so far I think we had a very, very, very cool stream, and I'm looking forward to the next 8 minutes and 20 seconds as we see the WB-57 there cruising around, waiting for this mission.
Exactly. And this is NASA checking in on their investment here. So that's how NASA does it. So normally, like, you make an investment, you come down and visit the plant for the day, but no, NASA has their aircraft here floating around, waiting for this launch here. So yeah, things look like we're so far go. We haven't heard anything to the contrary, other than a few boats in the exclusion area, which I'm sure they are busy excluding from the exclusion area right now. And we'll keep an eye on things. And the NSF team, as we mentioned, has been working incredibly hard to make sure we had all of our cameras in place for this monumental occasion. And things are looking great here. And tip of the hat to everyone out in the field who's working hard while I'm in my basement lair here. So hoping I can get out to one of these at some point as well. So we've got a couple of minutes here. I definitely want to, because I'll tell you what, I want to see this thing in person. I want to thank a few more super chats here, because this is what makes this happen. So Dave in Texas, I bet you'll be able to see something, Dave, if you look up in a little bit, in about 7 minutes or so. So we will see that. As we mentioned, Ricardo here says, here the ship has a Pacific landing location. Yes, just outside of Hawaii, and it's going to be a very hard landing. So part of the spectacle of what we're about to witness here is the, pretty much Starship will be, one way or the other, going out in a blaze of glory. And we hope it will be one that actually results in a successful outcome here. And it's actually going to be in a partial orbit, Alex, right? We're going to go pretty much to the east and have not a full orbit, but almost a full orbit, and then end up in the Pacific. It's not going west.
Yeah, it's just a straight out to the east, out of the launch site, over the Gulf, Atlantic, South Africa, Indian Ocean, and all the way to the Southwest Pacific to get that re-entry north of Hawaii.
Oh, here's a different view we haven't seen before. Look at those awesome engines there. Wow. So what are we looking at here? Adrian, what are we seeing here? Obviously, these are rocket engines, but there's a lot of them there. Very close together.
Yeah, it's 33 of these, 33 Raptor engines below booster 9, and in about 6 minutes or so, there will be Inferno here, as they all ignite and try to get this thing to space. And also some updates here, that the launch pad is configured for liftoff, the OLM clamps have been confirmed all opened, and also the tanks are pressurizing for flight, as SpaceX is now just 40 seconds away from wrapping up the ship and booster propellant loading. So we are getting very, very close here.
Yes, and there's another vent. We are within the 5-minute mark here. We've been waiting months for this moment, and where we are right now in our time frame is that we've got now a bunch of milestones that are going to be happening very quickly. So Alex and Adrian here are going to be calling the balls and strikes, if you will, as the launch countdown continues, because now things are starting to happen here, Alex, right? What's happening next?
Yeah, I'm already seeing some venting from the methane tank up there on the booster that is wrapping up its load. And so the booster is almost already loaded with propellants for launch. So yeah, we're just right now here on the final count, on the final few minutes, and we can see there the tower vent coming back.
Look at that shot.
Those are quite amazing views, but yeah, that tower vent coming back, that means we are basically done with the ship propellant load, both with the header tanks and the main tanks. The booster tanks are basically finishing that propellant load as well, and we're pretty much on the last few minutes of the count. Getting ready for those final checks as well. Usually at this point in the count, they pressurize the tanks, they switch to internal power, they arm the flight termination system. All of those things happen in these few last minutes of the count.
And we just saw a little puff up there at the top there, Alex. What was that? Just more topping off?
At the top of the ship, well, those are the header tank vents. They are basically maintaining the pressure on those, and definitely quite interesting. I really love when the vehicle is like this, fully venting and frosty, and it's alive. You can see it
feels like a living dragon creature, right? It's a monster.
Yeah.
It is a monster.
It is amazing.
Go ahead,
Adrian.
We are about 200 seconds away from the potential second flight of Starship. Just pointing that out here. Also pointing out that they are still apparently working on a boat issue in the range, but they might hold at T-minus 40 seconds to resolve that. They have the possibility to do that, as we hinted on before and probably guessed on before. So if this issue still remains when they are arriving at that point, they will probably hold to remain that one final issue in the range, because as of now, it seems that's the only issue they are working on. Everything with the vehicle, everything else seems to be good to go.
And on the
I
other
think
hand,
everyone in the chat should tell that guy to move his boat. 100,000 people here waiting just in our chat alone for this. So
on the other hand,
how awful would that be?
It could happen that they just don't hold, and they go through, and it catches up. So once we get to that point of the T-minus 40-second point in the count, I think we all agree that we'll probably stand by and see if, if something happens. If nothing happens, then they'll probably have held the count, but definitely it is a very tense moment in the count there.
So Alex, where we're at right now is that this rocket is fully fueled. The engines are chilled, if I look at our time frame here. And pretty much now it's just getting the systems operational and making sure all of the flight hardware is ready to go, right? Is this just a period now where we're just checking everything?
Yeah, this is actually when the vehicle is the most active. Now it is precisely the moment when operators can look at all the data they have in front of them and be able to assess what status.
How's that?
Hey!
We'll have audio or not, but we're good to go.
So Doc's got a lot of equipment out there. Oh, he's got the patch. Awesome. He's ready to go. Doc, I know how hard you've been working for this moment. How are you feeling right now? I mean, you've been killing yourself here.
I'm not sure if he
Oh,
can. They may not need to hold. They may not need to hold.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
we might be. Okay.
They are currently undergoing gimbal checks on the inner center engines of the booster. Boy,
So
if they
if-
don't go through the hole, that means in 40 seconds we're going through that whole point and straight to a launch attempt.
Straight to
and
launch,
just
straight
to-
to space.
And just to make sure that our viewers understand, once the deluge system comes on at the Fire X, we will let you enjoy this until around max Q if we get there. We won't talk over like the engine ignition sequence. Don't worry about that. Once that
Right.
Fire X comes up, you're on the in for a
Right.
ride.
We're muting, and we have what we call rocket ASMR, and because of the speed of sound, you're going to see things before you hear them. It's awesome, and we look forward to sharing that with all of you. And we've got 30 seconds. It looks like we went through the hold here, gentlemen, right?
We are
Let's
waiting for confirmation. We are waiting for the confirmation here. If they took the hold or
I
not.
think
They didn't. Because then we
all
are.
eyes on the OLM.
Oh, we have a
It's
hold.
I see a hold.
No, I believe they're going.
Oh, they're going.
Oh.
All right.
If they're going, we see the Fire
They're
X,
going.
the deluge, and then it's going. Oh,
Right, and we're keeping an eye on that
And-
deluge system. 2.
We have a hold.
it's a bit of uncertainty. Have your
Yes.
eyes on the OLM.
It's quite, yeah.
Yeah.
I believe they're holding because right now there's no way they will be. There's no Fire X system activated, but I did see there's an indicator at T-minus 40 seconds when they clear the hold that somehow there's like a vent out of the side of the OLM, and I saw that vent. So
And we should mention to our viewers
Yeah.
that this is something that SpaceX has planned to do. They have that as part of their process here. So if they can hold it 40 seconds and still make the window, we have 20 minutes in this window. So this
It
was something
appears-
we expected.
given what I saw on the OLM and the status, I'm mostly sure they went through, but something produced a hold.
Oh, okay.
Well,
So this is not their.
We will wait here. We'll wait here if we see the Fire X. Again, we need to. This is like short sentence commentary, as we sometimes call it, because you always need to be able to interrupt. Because as soon as that Fire X goes, it's action
Right.
time. So
Right. So we are past now the opening of the window. We are currently holding. If I'm not mistaken, we don't know the cause of this hold, but we're getting more information. Planned hold.
They're holding.
so Alex, what do
this is
we
a
got
planned
here?
hold. Teams are using this time for final checks. All systems continue to look good for today's flight test. That is an official update from SpaceX just right now.
that's
Awesome.
good news.
So-
I like these news.
Yes.
Okay. Let's leave them,
Let them figure it out. We
time
got
to
20
be able
minutes.
to. Exactly. Let's
Right.
give them the time.
And it's about being
They
careful
will.
because,
boy.
this needs to. And you know what? This kind of just adds to the excitement, I think. So, so for those of you just tuning in, we are in a planned hold, and we have 18 minutes left in the launch window here. So we
And
at the
if they can hold like they did with the first window, they can hold up until about 15 minutes into the launch window. So just to
Right, so
that's also maybe a limitation here. We We just don't know. Clock has apparently
Yeah,
resumed
I
counting
saw-
down.
Okay.
Yeah. We are going. Because I saw the OLM vent, and there we go, the fire X system has activated.
See you on the
Alright, so we
other
will-
side, everybody.
All right. Enjoy, everybody.
I believe at this point it's safe to talk again as we
Yes,
see
holy
Starship
moly.
going with all 33 Raptor engines working here.
This is
already
mind-blowing.
past. Yeah, already past max Q, approaching hot staging here.
Wow.
This is
So it looks like those ground changes made a big difference here, didn't it?
absolutely. We are approaching the hot staging here. They're about 30 seconds away from the hot staging moment. This is where we will see this event we all have been waiting for. Watch for it. I'm so excited to see this.
Yeah. It just shows you how much effort they put in between these two flights to get to this point. And hot staging's
Absolutely.
next. Oh, wow. Great job by our NSF crew getting these images to us also.
I believe that's
right.
hot staging.
I think so.
That is. Oh my god!
So next up, we're going to see if we can see the boost back. That looks like, yep,
Oh,
looks
God.
like it's
It's
boost back
working.
working.
burns.
Look at that.
It works! Wow!
Fantastic.
That looked good to me, Alex. Like
did.
initial impression, but that
Yeah,
looked
yeah,
good to
yeah. Oh my god.
Controlled flight.
It looks like it's working.
me. And with this, Ship 25 is on its way to Hawaii.
Oh my god.
Oh, wow.
Ship 25 is already past the McDowell line. It's already 90 kilometers up.
Wow.
Oh my god! This is unbelievable.
I mean, this couldn't be more picture perfect right now. And, you know, I think that shot we had at liftoff where you could see the boats in the foreground gave you such a sense of scale.
It
of the
appears that
size
they have
of this.
lost the booster on the boost back
Okay.
burn, but it's okay.
Okay.
Ship 25 is continuing. It's right now in space. It's past 100 kilometers.
So we
in
can
altitude.
confirm. So we can confirm now. Starship for the first time ever has entered
It's
space.
in space. It's in
in space.
space.
Oh my god!
Starship is in space.
And it's still burning in space, too, which is great. So
And you can see all six
six
Raptor
engines
engines are
are
still running. Oh my god!
Now, Alex, when they say they lost the booster, was it? Did they have to employ the flight termination hardware on the booster, or was it atmospheric?
I was not able to really properly see it. It just appeared that it exploded. But again,
Okay.
you know, the important part was that ascent portion. The ship is continuing.
To Hawaii.
Oh my God, there's no words.
Yeah.
There's no words.
Right.
And
This
I'm
is
sure there's a
okay.
lot of
I'm saying
this is bonus.
Yeah, this is all bonus. We are in bonus territory. We saw a good first stage flight. We saw hot staging. We saw second stage ignition. This is already bonus. This is unbelievable.
And what we were talking about earlier was that, you know, what we were looking for from a success standpoint. And here we saw just a perfect liftoff with no engine loss. We saw hot staging, and now we're on our way to orbit. Alex, you said the burn is longer than you thought?
Yeah. So the comparison between the booster and the ship is burning for 6 minutes. It's not 2.5. It's 6 minutes. So it's a long burn. So, you know, a lot of patience to get to that point. They have confirmed trajectory is nominal, so far,
up
so
until
good.
this point, everything is good for the primary mission.
Yeah.
I'm fully admitting it. I never expected this. This is.
Those
wow.
are ground cameras from us?
This is ground
Does
cameras
it
from
kinda-
us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, apparently DAS is still tracking it.
That's awesome.
Wow. Wow.
And a real kudos. This is a
Wow.
manual track, by the way. Das is the master of manual tracking. So he is tracking this. This is with the Das AI employed right now, and he's getting this done for us. Dare I say, you all in my New England playing?
We are approaching step by step here a nominal insertion, step by step. We are getting close here. And so far it seems everything is going well. This is unbelievable.
And Alex, if I look
wow,
there,
Spacey.
if I look below there, that's our fuel tank level. It looks like they're having some telemetry on the fuel levels too. So they have plenty of fuel left.
They are about 2 minutes away from Starship engine cutoff, which, if they arrive there, I mean, we might see a re-entry. I'm just saying it. We might see a re-entry.
And by the way, that's
we're
another
about
part of this test.
9,000 kilometers away from that almost orbital speed, because orbital speed is about 27,000 kilometers per hour. Definitely getting almost there right now.
Yeah.
Remember that with...
Now what are we seeing here? This is just...
I don't know.
That's, I think, just the exhaust of the second stage. Because
just interacting with the...
Yeah, that's just, at some point, the plume gets so big that it looks really funky here. But we are 1 minute away from Starship engine cutoff, and we still have 3 sea level and
so
3
far.
vacuum Raptor engines running. Wow.
Just remember that with second stages, the most part of the velocity is gained towards the end. So right now we're on the last minute, and it's still like 5,000 kilometers per hour, but that's normal. I just heard
just
terminal guidance. So
that means
it's getting there.
Final burn, right?
Yeah,
oh my
that
God.
is
Will
basically the computers saying, "Hey, we're close."
Okay, it looks like we have shutdown there.
And we are waiting for
Looks
SpaceX
like
confirming normal insertion. We are waiting for it.
And hats off to Das for that camera work. Great job, Das. You followed it all the way up.
And we are waiting. Still. At some point they will confirm it, and once they confirm it, that confirms a bonus for us. I'm speechless here. I'm honestly speechless.
I just got the high heart rate announcement on my watch.
They're standing by
So
for a call out here.
All right.
Coming up on the projected time that ship would shut down its engines.
Do we hear it?
We're still standing
Sounds
by,
like a...
but definitely.
As you can tell by the excitement from the crowd here at Mission Control Center in Hawthorne, there's a great view of our Star Command Center. That's our control center at Starbase Texas. The crowd here, Mission Control Center behind us in Hawthorne, everyone is super exciting. What a successful day this has been so far.
Standing by for
Okay.
acquisition of signal here, because they might not be in the area of a ground station where they probably confirm the
Yeah.
So we are waiting for them to get a telemetry, and once they have the telemetry, then they
And
can
I mean,
confirm.
up to this point, major successful milestones through hot staging, which was the big objective today.
We can there see Elon Musk behind the desk, standing there.
So
And we are waiting.
We are going to head into the coast phase, planned for the next about hour and 5 minutes. We'll be returning around the T+1 hour and 15-minute mark. And that's while we're waiting for Starship to continue on to its next step for re-entry. We're not totally sure what video we're going to get, and that video comes normally by overflying ground stations, but we don't have a ton along our flight path. So fingers crossed that we will get some via Starlink on this mission, since we're testing that out.
So if you're just tuning in, we had what looked to be a very successful launch of
And also give us a
Starship.
moment. We are hearing some chatter on the net, so we're going to try to parse that for you.
And we don't get that chatter anymore, do we, gentlemen?
Oh yeah, that's. But this is no matter
This is
what
far-
the result is. This is
Right.
already a huge success.
And Alex, let me ask you this: I guess the trajectory that they sent it on is going to have it, just by the math, end up off the coast of Hawaii, one way or the other, right?
Well, if it was completely nominal, sure, it should reach that point. Obviously, as we were mentioning, there's not a lot of ground stations. One of my hopes, part of the trajectory brings them sort of near the eastern range in Florida, so I'm not fully sure if maybe they can get that telemetry back.
Also, we will of course just say this
Next,
after
we're back
all of
here
this.
in Hawthorne at our webcast desk. We have.
We will of course after this bring you all the analysis of, like, you can see the launch pad there. That looks
It's
better.
still there. It's still there.
That looked way better. I'm already like calling it. That looked amazingly better.
Yeah, it looks like most of it is intact there, which is important. All right, so we're going to keep an ear.
The light up of the 6 Raptor engines on Starship, and it headed away. Everything really looked good. But what
So
we
we
do
are-
believe right now is that the automated flight termination system on second stage appears to have triggered very late in the burn as we were headed
Apparently,
downrange out
it
over the
might
Gulf of
have-
Mexico.
It might have happened that the flight termination system of the second stage has been triggered. That's a belief of SpaceX right now. That might have happened. We are waiting for confirmation.
Well, if it was, we can then confirm that it worked.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
that's good. Then the FTS worked. Another
And-
checklist.
A lot of things
And-
worked today.
Yes.
The 33
and-
engines. Did you see that?
Yes, and actually, the flight termination
My
system
God.
working was probably a bonus too.
This is unbelievable. This is I said it before, but this is unbelievable. I'm completely speechless, and I believe we also have something special here for you, Kevin. If you're. We have something that we wanted to show you once this happened, because we had a celebratory design for this. We now have our new hot staging shirt, which is
Ooh, that's hot.
yeah, and it's staging, which is the kind of our way to celebrate this. You can now get this in the NSF store to celebrate this enormous success of SpaceX, and I think it's a really, really, really cool way to do it. So get it while it's hot. I'm
Get
sorry.
it while it's hot. And speaking of hot, we have some other great things in the store too that you can check out, including metal prints. And I am sure with all the cameras that we had down there today that there's going to be some awesome launch photography available in many different formats on the NSF store. So shop.nasaspaceflight.com and get your Starship orbital flight test gear on, including our high-definition embroidered patch that Das was wearing earlier. So there is the launch pad, and it looks like most of it's still there. Yeah, looks really good. So, and really now that things are, we're kind of getting a handle on the information that's out there at the moment. What has happened is that we had a successful liftoff. All those engines, all 33 of them, were burning successfully all the way through hot staging. They lost the booster on the way back. And SpaceX is saying that it looks like the flight termination system on the second stage on Starship engaged itself. And to me, again, we're going to speculate here a little bit, but Alex, it looked to me as though that the flight termination system kind of must have looked like it actually enabled right after engine cutoff. We saw a big plume right at cutoff. What do you think?
Yeah, so I was sort of hoping that the big plume was perhaps the shutdown of the engines, because sometimes they do these weird effects, you know, when they shut down and all of these gases from the shutdown combine and everything. I was kind of hoping that was the case. I'm quite disappointed, but hey, in the overall scheme of things, come on, the ship reaches space.
Is that then new, Alex?
I'm
not sure. That's the
sure.
most. That's the most dented tank. That's like the one that always looks a bit rough.
Yeah, I will have to probably look at other perspectives, points of views to really see if that's actually something that was there before. In any case, I wouldn't be surprised. It didn't seem like there was a lot of concrete like the last time. It did appear that, you know, the water deluge worked as intended. I'm currently reviewing all of our feeds as we speak, and so yeah, trying to process everything.
And I'll tell you what, a real tip of the hat again to our team out there in the field. We got some great imagery from our cameras. What you saw mostly was from us out there at Starbase, and wow, what a flight. I'm still trying to like process everything here. I don't know about you two, because I know you've all been working really hard at making sure we knew everything there was to know about this launch ahead of time. We're seeing kind of the aftermath of the launch area. It looks a lot better to me, at least in this initial look, than it did the last time they fired Starship off. So that's a good sign. And here's our pad.
Like this. I mean, this looks pretty much normal, I would say. But the dent is new on the left tank. But if it's only a dent on a tank, that's
right.
like, I take that. I take that every single day. And of course, we are working on replays. We are working on other angles. We will get all of that to you. Just stay tuned with us. We are getting there. It's quite a lot, and it's also kind of overwhelming for all of us because we are also fans about this, right? So
yeah, right. And that's part of why we like to be quiet during the launch time, so we can enjoy it too, because we're all watching this together, which is really exciting. So if you're just tuning in, as you can see, there is no Starship on the pad. The Starship did successfully launch, and if you rewind in our stream, you can see it over and over again until we get our replays up. And it looks like we had a successful flight. We got essentially as far as main engine cutoff on Starship, the second stage, and we had a successful hot stage. And SpaceX is reporting that the flight termination system engaged shortly after those engines cut off. And we'll know more, of course, as the days and weeks progress here. But I get the sense, Alex, that now that we've had this successful test flight, which I think you could largely say is a success, even though the ship didn't make it, are we going to see a faster launch cadence now? Because it looks like a lot of the changes they put in place really worked here.
Indeed. I'm very... I'm just trying to process this whole thing, because if you think about it, whatever thing they need to fix, it needs to be with a booster return, which is not as, you know, it's not as limiting right now. It will be limiting in the future, but not right now. This is basically the early stages of test flights for Starship, and then the ship needs to be able to, you know, fully finish that burn to orbit, basically. And so that is what, like maybe 10% of the whole mission today, that is quite amazing, to be honest. I don't think they will need to do as many modifications this time around, which will mean both hardware and...
In 2022, the energy industry messed up big, and now they want to stick you with the bill.
And just to say it again, we have replays incoming, we have analysis incoming, we have reactions from our field people incoming. We are working on all of that. The machine in the background is already working. I can already see it, and it's.
It looks like you got a metal print already, though.
Yes, I want to let's show this
Straight off
because
the
Sean was getting you something.
Whoa.
Do you want this? Do you want this launch on your wall? Do you want this launch on your wall? Because you can now get this launch on your wall. Because this is fresh out of the oven. The second launch of Starship. There you go. You can now get it on shop.nasaspaceflight.com.
I can't tell you how perfect that launch looked to me. Now, granted, I could not build one of these myself, but it looked a lot better than the last one. That's for sure.
The first stage flight, the plume of the engines, that was clean.
Yeah. You know what's great about the methane is that you can really see the engines burning a lot better than you can with some of the other fuels that we've typically witnessed, right? It's very pronounced, the number of engines that were functioning fully. And Alex, there was a successful boost back, it looked like, up until it was lost.
until it was not successful. But I want to stress here that a booster return, a ship return will have been just the icing on the cake, and it is pretty much, I don't know, I will consider this a total success in the sense that we got first stage burn, we got hot staging, the ship went into space, Starship in space! Like, once they start getting those feeds back from their telemetry and whatever, we're gonna have such amazing views, which I hope they got, obviously. But, like, oh my gosh. The 33 engines. To me, the most striking thing, once that thing lifted off, was seeing those 33 engines all igniting. How complicated it was for them in the last, I don't know how many years already of booster testing to ignite those 33 engines. It's always been so complicated, such a headache for them. And being able to finally, Super Heavy, with all 33 engines, rising proud out of a starbase and getting that second stage, that Ship 25 into space, it is completely amazing.
Adrian,
I'm still...
Adrian,
go
ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No, ask your question.
What is next now? Because obviously the mission here was to get pretty much to what happened here. I'm sure they would have liked Starship to have ended up next to Hawaii intact so they could test the re-entry system. But beyond that, what's next? I mean, are we looking at a full orbit now? Like, what's the next test going to look like?
Honestly, that's a great question because I think they might be right on the edge of being very close to making the next test maybe like a Starlink flight. I don't like something like that. I mean, they got very close. Look at the first flight and look at this. I'm still processing what we just witnessed because this exceeded all expectations. This is unbelievable.
Just this step change of going from a flight that barely was able to control itself to a flight that went to space and got almost like but maybe half a minute remaining on the burn of the second stage. It's like that's almost there. It's just almost. If they launch it again, if they solve all of these issues, like I'm mostly sure there's not a lot of issues remaining to solve here to get that ship, whatever it is, the next one to orbit, and get it all the way to Hawaii. The next thing, seeing this launch today, to me at least, the next thing will be get it to Hawaii now for real. Like now, finish that burn, get all the way there, attempt that reentry, and see if the heat shields tiles, survive that reentry. It is My God.
Yeah. Well, I think
It's
for
just-
those that
I'm
really
so excited.
doubted, and I think for those that really doubted that something this large and complicated could work, I think those doubts have certainly been abated at this point. It was
for sure.
Really, I mean, for all the things that went wrong in the first one, it went totally right on this one, and that has got to be something that's got the SpaceX folks very excited. I'm sure NASA is happy to see this, and I think as we were talking about on Countdown to Launch this week, a lot of what took so long between April and now was the fact that there were so many changes to the ground systems and the flight systems that the regulators had to step in and make sure that things were compliant with all of their rules and regulations. And it looks as though, if this worked, we're going to see less big changes and a lot more smaller ones to get to that point. And we are waiting. I know our team is working hard to get things going. Hey, I think Jack is available too, so we're going to try to bring in some field commentary to see how everybody is doing out there. Here's our replay. Look at this.
Oh my God.
It's so amazing.
But look how we didn't see much of a lean like we did the last time, did we?
No. You can also see there's not stuff flying around.
Yeah, there's a little bit, but not like the total destruction last time.
It's just going.
To me, the thing that I will consider seems to move away from the tower. I don't know if you guys see it, but it does seem like it does some kind of paddle-voice maneuver. Because for the first flight, it did something similar, but it seemed to, because Elon said, we didn't do any paddle-voice maneuver or anything like it. And, backtracking the engines that went out during liftoff and everything, it seemed that it was because of that. But here, all 33 engines ignited, so obviously there must be some intentionality here, right?
Can I see the replay from the beginning again? Because I think you see the air shockwave.
Yeah.
At ignition. Could we? I'm not sure if that's possible. I'm sorry, production, but I think you can see the air shockwave. There.
Oh wow! Look at that. Yeah. And you see a number of them because you do have these engines lighting up in not all at once, right? They launch them in a sequence, so you're going to see multiple shockwaves there.
One of the things, look out for if we replay it again, obviously, look out for the quick disconnect arm. It separates, and then 2 seconds later is when the liftoff happens. So the QD on the ship disconnects, and then it starts rising 2 seconds later. It's amazing. Look at that.
I have something special coming, apparently. Apparently, we might have some footage of a booster explosion also in the pipeline. Ooh. Just teasing that. We are working on it.
Okay.
But we have so many cameras. We have so many angles. You really don't want to miss what's coming over the next, I don't know how long. We will go as long as we can.
And what you're looking at here is the fruit of months of labor on the part of the NSF crew to get all of this footage to you. And of course, we'll have this up on our YouTube channel in addition to just watching these awesome replays. And the debris doesn't look all that heavy that's flying around, does it?
No, it looks like, dare I say it, for the biggest rocket of all time, a normal rocket launch. Yeah. And that's good. It doesn't look like a destructive rock tornado, which is amazing.
It's incredible. I mean, you just look at the amount of energy being released there, and look at the shockwave through that smoke plume there as it's going up. I mean, insane. Let me ask you guys: would you want to be on the top of that rocket? Maybe not this one, given what happened to it, but
I mean, it's just flight terminated, so I'm like, not yet, but Alex apparently saw something.
Yeah, we're watching Alex on his.
I'm seeing the photographs from our team, and oh my God.
Yeah, stay tuned. We're gonna have a lot more stuff for you. So keep everybody. If you're thinking of leaving, don't leave yet. Look at that!
It's so amazing.
That piece of flaming debris that just went through the. Wow.
We honest. Oh my God! Yeah, I see that. Holy moly! We have some stuff cooking for you guys. There's still stuff to come. Wow.
Oh
yeah. So we have more to come, and we will try to deliver some. Hey, look at these great views we've got. How many do we have? I don't think I've seen the same view twice here yet. So
yeah,
it's amazing how much.
This is unbelievable. It's
Wow.
It's this will take, so there will, of course, this will all result in a long time of us talking about this, because we will just have to we will just have to try and learn what we just witnessed. And SpaceX probably is still in the process of like understanding what just happened, but
Right.
there's no doubt about this. This was exceeding expectations. This is definitely on the right track. I would say basically everything that went wrong on the first flight, they corrected.
Yeah.
Everything, even the FTS.
Including the flight termination system, which you could argue is actually, I think that's going to make the FAA feel a lot better, right? That to know that it actually did work. You know,
Yeah.
it did its job, which it did not do the first time. So I'm going to put up some supporter messages here. We have so many, and I really thank everybody on behalf of the team here for your support of the channel, because I can tell you this team has been working their tail off to bring these views to you of this now successful launch of Starship, and we'll be running some replays here as we go. First Gear Gamers, thank you very much for your support. Thomas Anfang, when hop, right now. That was one heck of a hop. And that's in reference to the Star Hopper, which is now a tank down there. And look at that one. I think this was the view that...
Is that...
It was one
is
other,
that-
yeah, there's one other view that I thought was really a good way to get a sense of scale here. But look at that. And look how perfect those engines look on the way up.
Definitely
It's-
nothing like the first one.
Yeah, where you could basically count them going out. It's
and,
like...
and see the debris flying down from underneath it. I was surprised that the first one actually got as high as it did, given what we saw at that moment of flight. So, and by the way, Aerovale reminds us too that just about every rocket system or spacecraft loses its first stage upon launch and its second stage. So certainly this is not unusual in the space business. And ultimately they were planning for this this stack not to return in the form in which we saw it launch. Here's another view here.
It's honestly
hats off to
mind-boggling.
the-
And
Look at that.
oh my... I see
another
some
one.
engine shots coming, and it's
Yep.
like there's this
It's
weird
amazing.
difference between the first flight where we had these like small dots of already shut down engine, and it just looks perfect here. And
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh, look at that. Wow. Yeah. I mean, that is
look
so,
at
I mean,
that.
it is so, it's amazing how far they've been able to get this system working from the first flight. And I would argue a lot of that had to do with getting the ground system functional. I know they never confirmed this, but I can't imagine there was not concrete flying back into those engines on the first flight. And we've got some more stuff I'm seeing in the back channel here. You're going to be like, I just saw something in the back channel that I can't express in the words I wish to use right now because YouTube would be angry at me.
Yes,
Yeah.
we are family friendly, right?
Yes, that's right. Absolutely. We are the family-friendly space channel. But when I say holy moly, you can know what I'm thinking. There's another, and that looks like it did do a little tilt there, didn't it? Wow.
Yeah.
Alex, we need to have like a multi-hour call at some point to just talk this through, because like this takes some time.
I think there's going to need to be
it really
an
takes.
analysis show to just go through all of this, and I think I'm sure you guys are going to be spending the rest of today just kind of going over this stuff. There's our water deluge system.
Wow. I am just speechless. This, and I didn't expect it to go today. Like, I think everybody of us kind of went like, nah,
Right.
it might scrap, it might not go, and then suddenly you see the engines and you're like, oh, uh-oh.
It's going. Well,
Oh, yeah.
and you know what? They were concerned about Sunday because of weather, right? And then there was the whole, there's a local rule about the road being open during Thanksgiving week. So there was a lot of things that really made today the day. And it looks like they were determined to get it up and off that pad in time for that. Don Colts thanks us for the coverage. Thank you for the support, sir. We appreciate that. We'll put your
Hey, Jack.
Hey, Jack is
Jack.
joining us. So I got to hear it, Jack. What
That
was
was-
it like to see this? Because you saw both of them. So what do you?
Outstanding.
What's
It
and
looked
what
like
words
they had
did
all
you
the
use?
engines all the way uphill. I can't use those words here, but it did look like they had all the engines all the way uphill. It just wow. It launched. It's not
It
there
sure did.
anymore.
And Jack, can you give us a sense of scale here? Because I saw the one shot that we had, I think, up on the hotel of the boats in the foreground, and it looks like a skyscraper taking off. What does it look like to you when you see these things launch?
I know this word gets thrown around a lot, but surreal would be the word. It's just surreal. I mean, you get close enough to this thing when you're down here in Starbase, and you actually start to get a feel for how massive it is, and then you see it. Just looks like, it's almost like it's got marionette strings on it, just being lifted up into the sky. But for real, I mean, that is the force of 33 Raptor engines doing their thing, and it's just utterly mind blowing. I hope everybody enjoyed that as much as we all did here. I don't even know what views we had other than glancing back and forth here and seeing what you guys were showing. But
It's insane.
Oh, look at that.
Beautiful. This is my shot. This is my
That's
shot.
your footage.
This is
yeah.
the booster. This is the
amazing.
booster exploding.
Whoa!
Really?
Here we go. Wait for it. Wait for it.
There you
Oh, it's gone.
Oh!
No soft
That's
landing
the
on
most-
that one.
That's one of the most beautiful things I think I've ever had a camera pointed at. And I know
Oh
it's
my
the booster exploding, and I know eventually the booster will not explode. But
Right.
in terms of a spectacle, that was
Yeah.
something.
Was this
May
a
I-
flight termination explosion, or was this just a atmospheric pressure deal?
Apparently FTS. Apparently this was
I
FTS.
believe it was. Yeah, I believe it was FTS.
Yeah. The way that the booster explodes, you can see that the sort of in the middle of the booster, there's like this little flash and then the explosion. I'm mostly sure. Obviously, SpaceX needs to confirm it, but I will put my money on it if it were to come to that point. And flight termination systems do not activate lightly. They normally is because there's some kind of deviation. So it's
Right.
it's totally possible. The booster. This is the first boost back burn for this booster and for super heavy in total, right? So look, if it wasn't able to find its own way back, it's okay. It'll be the next time. It already lifted off with 33 engines all the way up, hot staging. Come on, let's give it a break, right? It's
Yeah. And,
So
I
and
want to
again,
give
I
a
think
special. I want to give a special shout outs to the fog and weather who didn't ruin this all. So thanks for that.
Wow.
Wow. We did not get clouds. We did not get, skunked, which is just amazing and so great because what a perfect time for a launch. Like, that was beautiful. You can't ask for much better than that. You can see the ship continuing on. You can see the booster flipping around, clear as day. And I know we have more replays, and we have all kinds of stuff coming in. It's just like, oh my god, I didn't see that. Oh my god.
Yes. We the more it's like I'm already telling you, Jack. After you have seen all of the footage we have already seen, you will have another round of this. How awesome this is, because our cameras catched unbelievable things. It's insane.
amazing. It is.
I'm so
insane.
happy right now.
And Jack, how many hours have you slept in the last week?
Oh, I don't know in the last week, but I can tell you I've been up for 26 hours right now.
Oh my goodness. Well, I want to thank
I
you and everyone else with you for all that you did today, because all these views we're getting were not something we pulled down from SpaceX or from the NASA airplane. These are all coming from our cameras, the ones that you and the team down there set up and keep running. And I know how hard it is to keep this stuff running. So thank you on behalf of all of us watching for the effort that went into this today.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just
I'm-
me. I'm just a guy with a beard and a camera. It's an entire team. It's like 40 or 50 people. I mean, Doss is out here working
God.
his
Right.
tail off. I mean,
Look at that picture.
Sean is out here
And-
working his tail off. It's just insane.
think-
Everybody's working so hard.
All 33
And-
engines.
And what we've got on screen here is the fruit of your labor from the team. and so this is these are prints now that are available on shop.nasaspaceflight.com, shop.nasaspaceflight.com, of our photographers who are on the scene there. And this just happened, and you can now own this as a metallic print. They are beautiful, and look at the detail on the engines there. All
Yeah, we have-
33.
Yeah, that is my shot from about 4 miles away. This is Max's. Max did a great job. Look at that.
Wow.
Look at that. And the cool thing when you buy a metal print, you obviously get to see the print on your wall. That's awesome. But the photographer that took the print gets a cut of the print sale. So you're not only helping out NSF, you're not only getting something awesome for your wall, but you are helping out the photographer. I don't know. Do we have any inkling on what the status of the pad is? Hopefully cameras lived?
So far, so here's your update. Here's your update, Jack. So far, cameras are looking very promising at the pad. There appears to be no major damage from what we can see. At least the cameras we can see in our camera. Here you can see it. They're standing. Like,
yes,
let's go.
Good. So Danger Trailer fared better than Danger Van, it looks like. So we will have even more once they let us out there to check it out. It's called Danger Cart, and this was something that Doss and the team put together. It's got Starlink, it's got LTE, it's got 5G, it's got solar panels, the whole nine. Yeah, it looks like we're going to have some more amazing photography. And look at that, it even moves on its own here. So that's our tracker. So yeah, it still moves. So that's a good sign that I think things have survived much better than they did last time.
I have another replay uploading. You should have it shortly. It is of shortly after liftoff. The mock diamonds, you guys. The mock diamonds.
Wow.
It's so crazy how if you look at this plume and compare it to Flight 1, this is a proper like rocket flying plume. It is so insanely good looking. You should like there's always like these moments where Alex and I are just sitting here and be like hands on our head because we are like so speechless.
By the way, we had a bunch of super chats asking.
The Good Guys Black Friday sale is on now. Get over $350 off this Samsung fridge, 24% off this Hisense front load washer, this Breville coffee machine for only $5.88, and $200 off this Hisense dishwasher. Plus more Black Friday deals at The Good Guys.
Oh my God! You can see the exhaust of all of the engines combining, and it's like a mega Mac Diamond in the middle or something. That's amazing.
Unbelievable.
Wow. Look at that.
Yeah.
There's like a big Mac Diamond in the middle.
I don't even
That's
have
how
words.
it's supposed to look.
I was looking at my viewfinder and just like mouth open, couldn't comprehend like that. Seeing the ice, the chunks of ice come off and hit that. That is outstanding. What an outstanding launch, and it cannot be said enough. Congratulations to SpaceX for getting this thing off the pad in a 20-minute window on its second flight. That is, I want to say that is unprecedented. I don't know that for a fact, but I sure feel like it's unprecedented. And look at that. All of those Raptors are firing. None of those Raptors are exploding. This thing is hauling the mail downrange, exactly like it's supposed to.
And that is the enthusiasm we are looking for out there, Jack. And I'm glad you got to witness this in person. It is just remarkable. And again, this is this whole stack is 394 feet tall. I will let the folks in the chat do the metric conversion there. And Alex, 30 feet in diameter, is that right?
Yeah, 9 meters for those in metric like me. That is the largest and most powerful rocket in the world flying right there. And All 33 engines. Like, to me, the most mind-blowing thing is those 33 engines, because we had so many headaches as SpaceX has had with all of these engines trying to ignite them, and finally, all 33 igniting.
Crazy. Unbelievable. And we've got so many messages of support that I do want to try to get through as we look at some of the replays here and the aftermath footage. There's a Tesla running by. I wonder whose Tesla that is. This is the scene live right now from Boca Chica. And it looks like everything survived. Much better than it did the last time. So great stuff. Nice comment here from Matt Green. I'll put him up here on screen once my control panel here catches up.
They're already back at the old closure point. They're like already daring to go there. That at least
that's a good sign.
Decent hope for me for the state of the launch pad. I think they wouldn't do that if they would suspect a giant methane leak in one of the tanks or something.
And that's true. I mean, it's not just the launch pad that has to survive. It's all of these tanks with methane and liquid oxygen and nitrogen. There's a lot of things to be damaged. We still see some venting there, but that's normal, Adrian, right?
This tank farm is there's still a lot of going on. It needs to save. It needs to probably vent out some of the nitrogen it had in the subcoolers, but nothing there looks like a leak. Because a leak would be very powerful at the beginning and then over time lose pressure. And I didn't see anything that looked like a big leak. Right.
Here's another replay. I can't believe how many different angles we've got of this event today. It's amazing how many cameras we've had focused on this. This might be a good time to also point out that the grid fins on the booster are out on purpose. They do not fold in like they do on the Falcon rocket.
I'm still like so many things did go well for this, and I think we didn't point this out enough before the launch. How hard this is, what SpaceX is trying. How they are doing things like bigger than ever before. Like this is an enormous achievement, and it looks fantastic on pictures.
It sure does.
Which is also amazing.
It sure does. Now, if you're just tuning in, because I always like to bring people up to date, because it is the morning, and people are, well, at least where I am, it's the morning. People are waking up and kind of see what's going on. As you can see from our replays here, this was, for all intents and purposes, a very successful launch of Starship, especially compared to the last one. As you can look at that. As you can see, we had 33 engines light and stayed lit. We got to hot staging separation. We had a successful main engine cutoff of Starship when it got to its basically its orbital altitude and speed. And after that, the flight termination system engaged and blew up Starship. But everything that SpaceX was hoping to achieve today was achieved, namely a successful launch with the booster, a successful hot stage separation, a successful main engine cutoff. And I'm sure the FAA was happy to see that the flight termination system worked as it was supposed to. And actually, the flight termination system was engaged on both Starship and on the booster, but only after they had successfully completed the mission today. And we have some footage you'll probably see in a little bit of that booster exploding. But the booster did do its initial boost back burn, so we did get to see that also.
And one of the things looking at the telemetry. Yeah.
Oh my God.
One of the things that that I actually noticed looking at the telemetry is that it appears that the booster probably wasn't able to relight some of the engines during the boost back burn. It did a really good flip. The views really indicated that it did a good flip just after that that hot staging. But it appears that maybe some of the engines didn't properly relight, and so that might have caused deviation.
We have here a tweet from Jonathan McDowell, our go-to guy on all things orbits. And he says, based on the last altitude velocity numbers on SpaceX's webcast, I estimate Starship achieved a trajectory of minus 1740 by 150 kilometers with, if not entirely destroyed by the flight termination system. impact northeast of the Turks and Caicos Islands. So it is back down in pieces.
So they had a negative, apparently, and this is Jonathan McDowell. So this is a very reliable source, I would say. So this would be meaning that the perigee was still negative. So, but it's if you ever played KSP, this has been getting pretty close to positive. Like this is just lacking just a little bit, because at the end suddenly it goes to positive very quickly. Wow!
All right, here's some more
wow.
replay footage.
That was the coolest thing I've ever seen. That was the coolest thing I've ever seen. I've seen so many cool things. That was the coolest thing I've ever seen.
And Jack, I think with today's pretty much successful launch here, you're going to be seeing a lot of cool things much more rapidly than we have between these two flights. As I would imagine, the FAA has a lot more confidence in the flight system here, both the launching part and the exploding part. And look at that, we had perfect ignition of all 33 engines. We didn't even have that in the static fire they did a few weeks ago.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm glad we're going to have more opportunities, because let me just say this on air right now. I'm a big dumb idiot, and I destroyed our internet connection at T-minus 10 minutes, and that gave Sean a whole host of problems. It killed my slow-mo camera. It killed a lot of things, and I sincerely apologize to the team for ruining a lot of awesome things that could have been more awesome. That's entirely my fault. And you know what? I'm just going to say this. If you're considering buying a middle print, please buy Sean's print. It's an amazing shot. I don't know if we can show it, but I'm just doing this on the fly. Sorry, production team. I feel terrible. I mean, it's a great day. It's an awesome day. We got amazing imagery. But really, we're all out here, money out of pocket, trying really hard to make awesome imagery for y'all. So once again, I can't suggest the metal prints enough.